The Misty Forest. In the heart of an ancient realm, where magic hummed softly through the earth and skies, lay the Misty Forest, a fairytale wood forever shrouded in a soft, silvery fog. Its trees stood tall and wide, their trunks twisted in ways that whispered of ancient stories, while their roots delved deep into the veins of magic that pulsed beneath the ground. The Misty Forest was a place of wonders, where the line between the seen and the unseen blurred, and magic breathed life into every leaf, every whisper of wind, and every ripple upon the waters. It was said that the Misty Forest was born of magic itself. Long ago, when the world was young, three elemental spirits, earth, air, and water, came together to create a sanctuary for all that was wondrous and mystical. The trees were grown by the hands of the earth, their roots cradling the soil in deep embrace. The water elementals poured their essence into the rivers and streams, imbuing every droplet with enchantments, while the air elementals wove the mist, a soft, ever-present blanket that both protected and concealed the mysteries of the forest. Fire, however, was absent from this sacred grove. Its destructive nature could not be permitted within a place where life grew so freely, where plants and animals coexisted in harmony with spirits of the elements. The forest's magic repelled flames, keeping the trees and creatures safe from the dangers of fire. The secrets of the Misty Forest. Aliana had lived among the Dryads for many moons now, her days blending into the rhythm of the forest, where time was measured not by the ticking of hours but by the rise and fall of the sun, the shifting of the seasons, and the pulse of magic in the earth. Life in the Misty Forest was unlike anything she had ever imagined. It was a life of harmony, not just with nature but with magic itself. Every element, every creature, and every action had meaning. The Dryads, whom Ileana now called her sisters, were deeply connected to the forest and its cycles. Their existence was woven into the fabric of the woods, and through them, Ileana learned the customs and rituals that governed their magical lives. The ritual of sowing and harvesting. Each season, the Dryads held a sacred ritual for the sowing and harvesting of crops, which was more than a mere act of agriculture, it was an ancient tradition rooted in magic. The crops they grew were not ordinary plants, but mystical herbs and fruits imbued with the essence of the forest. These magical crops held healing properties, could strengthen spells, and, in some cases, were used to commune with the elementals. At the first light of dawn, the Dryads gathered in a vast glade hidden deep within the Misty Forest. The glade, known as Verdant Hollow, was a place of immense magical power, where the earth was most fertile and the air hummed with energy. Here, they would prepare for the sowing ceremony. The Dryads began by calling upon the earth elementals, who emerged from the soil like living stone, their forms resembling towering figures of rock and root. These ancient beings would bless the soil, ensuring it was rich with magic, while the Dryads sang songs of life and growth. Ileana, standing among her sisters, felt the ground tremble softly beneath her feet as the earth elementals moved, their presence a deep, steady hum in the air. Each Dryad carried with her a pouch of seeds, tiny, glowing grains that shimmered with magical light. These seeds had been collected during the previous harvest, carefully selected for their potency. The Dryads planted them with their bare hands, pressing them into the earth with whispered words of enchantment. Once the seeds were planted, the water elementals were called. They flowed from the nearby streams and rivers, their bodies made of crystal clear water, ever shifting and fluid. As they moved through the glade, they gently watered the soil, infusing it with life-giving magic. The air grew cooler as the mist thickened, a soft haze settling over the field, and Ileana could feel the magic swirling around her like a soft breeze. The Dryads danced as they worked, their movements fluid and graceful, a dance that mirrored the cycles of the earth. The animals of the forest often joined them, stags with silver antlers, foxes with fur like molten gold, and even small birds that fluttered above, singing their sweet melodies. This was no ordinary labor, it was a celebration of life and the bond between the forest's creatures. When the harvest came, months later, the ritual was repeated, but this time, it was one of gratitude. The Dryads and the elementals worked together to gather the crops, their joy evident in their laughter and song. Aliana had grown used to the feel of magic in the air, and she often joined the other Dryads in giving thanks to the earth, air, and water for their gifts. Every fruit, every herb, and every plant they harvested carried within it the magic of the forest, a blessing that would sustain them through the colder months. The sacred journey for water. One of the most revered rituals of the Dryads was the journey to the Mistwater spring. This spring was hidden deep within the forest, far from where most travelers ever ventured, and it was said to be the source of the Misty Forest's magic. The water that flowed from the spring was not ordinary, it sparkled with a faint light, and those who drank from it were said to be blessed with visions of the past and future. The journey to the spring was a pilgrimage made by the Dryads only once a year, during the height of summer. It was a long, arduous trek, and not without its dangers. The path was ever shifting, hidden by the mist, and only the Dryads, with their deep connection to the forest, could navigate it. Aliana was honored to join the Dryads on her first pilgrimage to the Mistwater spring. The journey took several days, during which they traveled through some of the most mysterious parts of the forest. They passed through whispering groves, where the trees murmured secrets in languages long forgotten, and Mirror Lake, a still, reflective body of water where one could see visions of their true self if they gazed long enough. At night, they camped beneath the stars, the mist swirling gently around them as they rested. The Dryads would tell stories of the ancient times, of how the Misty Forest had been born from the union of the elements, and of the creatures that once roamed its depths, some of which still lingered in the forgotten corners of the woods. Aliana listened with rapt attention, her heart filled with wonder at the history and mystery of the place she now called home. When they finally reached the Mistwater spring, it was as though they had stepped into another world. The air here was thick with magic, and the spring itself glowed with an ethereal light. The water flowed from a crack in a large, moss-covered stone, and the mist around it was heavier, swirling in intricate patterns. The Dryads knelt before the spring, their hands cupped to catch the water. Aliana followed suit, her heart pounding as she drank the cool, sweet liquid. As the water touched her lips, she felt a surge of power rush through her, a connection to the forest so deep it made her dizzy. She closed her eyes, and in that moment, she saw visions. She saw the past, the first Dryads walking among the newly born trees, and the future, a glimpse of what the forest might become if it were ever threatened. The Dance of the Beasts. One of the most joyous customs of the Dryads was the Dance of the Beasts, a celebration held under the full moon to honor the animals of the forest. It was believed that the animals held their own magic, a wild, untamed power that the Dryads revered. On the night of the dance, the Dryads would gather in a sacred grove, the mist parting to reveal a clearing bathed in moonlight. The animals, who were as much a part of the forest as the Dryads themselves, would come willingly: deer, foxes, wolves, and even bears. The Dryads would paint their skin with the sap of the trees, marking themselves with symbols of the forest, and they would weave crowns of flowers and vines to wear as they danced. The dance was wild and free, a celebration of the bond between the Dryads and the animals. The Dryads moved with the grace of the wind, while the animals danced alongside them, their movements fluid and natural. Aliana often found herself laughing with joy during these dances, her heart light as she spun with a wolf or twirled with a graceful stag. The animals, for their part, seemed to understand the significance of the dance. They would join the Dryads, not as pets or companions, but as equals. The forest pulsed with magic on these nights, the energy of the earth, air, and water blending together in perfect harmony. Secrets of the Misty Forest. As Ileana grew more attuned to the magic of the Misty Forest, she began to uncover its deeper secrets, mysteries that even the Dryads spoke of only in whispers. One such secret was the existence of the Mist Keepers, ancient spirits who were said to control the very mist that shrouded the forest. These beings were elusive, rarely seen by even the Dryads. They were said to be the guardians of the forest's deepest magic, ensuring that no one, not even the Dryads, could fully unravel the forest's mysteries. Another secret was the Veil of Memories, a hidden place within the forest where the mist was so thick that it was nearly impenetrable. Those who ventured too close to the veil would be enveloped in it, and they would see visions of the past, memories not just of their own lives, but of the lives of those who had come before them. Some said that the veil was where the souls of the forest's ancient inhabitants resided, watching over the forest even in death. Ileana had yet to venture into the Veil of Memories, but she had heard the Dryads speak of it in hushed tones. It was a place of great power, but also great danger, for the memories one encountered there could change a person forever. Yet, despite these secrets, the Misty Forest remained a place of peace and harmony. Its magic was a living, breathing thing, and Ileana had become a part of it. She knew that the forest held many more mysteries, some of which she might never uncover. But for now, she was content to live among the Dryads, to dance with the animals, and to share in the magic of the Misty Forest, her home. The swamp at the edge of the Misty Forest. At the farthest edge of the Misty Forest, where the trees grew thinner and the mist turned into a delicate veil over the land, there lay a swamp. It was a place of quiet, often overlooked by travelers and rarely ventured into, even by the creatures of the forest. But those who knew the Misty Forest well understood that the swamp held its own unique magic. Unlike the rest of the forest, where the air was filled with the songs of birds and the laughter of the Dryads, the swamp was serene and still, a place where the waters moved slowly, reflecting the sky like a mirror. At the heart of this swamp, nestled among tall reeds and water lilies, stood a small, well-appointed hut. It was made of woven branches and covered in moss, its walls shimmering faintly with protective enchantments. A winding path of stepping stones led from the edge of the swamp to the door of the hut, each stone covered in intricate runes that glowed faintly in the twilight. This was the home of Lyra, one of the most skilled Dryad witches in the Misty Forest. Lyra was unlike many of her sisters. While most Dryads preferred to dwell among the trees or in the glades, Lyra had chosen the swamp as her home. She found comfort in its stillness, in the way the water mirrored the moonlight, and in the soft croaking of frogs that echoed across the marsh. She was deeply connected to the spirits of the swamp, understanding its quiet magic in a way that few others did. Lyra, the Swamp Witch. Lyra was renowned among the Dryads for her magical prowess. Her power was subtle, but it ran deep, like the slow-moving waters of the swamp. She was a master of potions, her hut filled with shelves lined with jars of dried herbs, vials of shimmering liquids, and bundles of flowers hung from the ceiling to dry. Lyra often spent her days tending to her garden, a collection of rare plants that grew only in the swamp's damp soil, many of which had powerful healing properties. She was also known for her skill in communing with the spirits of the swamp, as well as the tree and flower spirits that inhabited the Misty Forest. These spirits were ancient, older even than the Dryads themselves, and they lived within the plants, their presence a quiet but constant force. The tree spirits were guardians of the forest's wisdom, silent watchers who had seen countless seasons come and go. The flower spirits were gentler, their magic tied to beauty and growth, and they often danced on the breeze, unseen by most. Lyra had a special bond with these spirits, and they often whispered secrets to her, sharing knowledge that even the other Dryads did not possess. It was said that Lyra could call upon the spirits to guide her in her magic, their voices blending with the rustle of the leaves and the ripple of the water. Many Dryads came to her for advice, seeking her wisdom in matters of magic, healing, and the ways of the forest. Her hut was always open to her sisters, and though it was small, it was a place of warmth and comfort. A soft fire always burned in the hearth, casting a warm glow over the room. The scent of herbs filled the air, and the walls were adorned with charms and talismans, each one carefully crafted by Lyra's hands. Visitors would often find Lyra sitting by her window, gazing out over the swamp as she stirred a bubbling potion or whispered to the spirits that hovered just beyond the veil of mist. The spirits of trees and flowers. The spirits of the trees were among the most ancient beings in the Misty Forest. They rarely took form, preferring to remain within the trees themselves, but their presence was felt in the very air of the forest. Each tree had its own spirit, a guardian that watched over the land and protected the magic that flowed through the roots and branches. These spirits were wise, having witnessed the ebb and flow of time, and they held the memories of the forest's past. Ileana had learned to sense these spirits during her time with the Dryads. When she placed her hand on the bark of a tree and closed her eyes, she could feel the faint hum of the tree's spirit, a steady, ancient presence that pulsed beneath her fingers. The tree spirits did not speak in words, but in feelings and impressions, conveying their thoughts through the rustle of leaves and the creak of branches. The flower spirits, on the other hand, were much more playful and vibrant. They danced in the breeze, their laughter like the soft tinkling of bells. These spirits were drawn to beauty, and they often followed the Dryads as they moved through the forest, trailing behind them in invisible clouds of color and scent. Ileana had seen them once, during a particularly bright afternoon when the mist had thinned and the sun had bathed the forest in golden light. The flower spirits had revealed themselves briefly, appearing as tiny, glowing figures with wings made of petals. Lyra was particularly attuned to these spirits, and they often came to her in the early morning, when the mist was thickest and the air was still. She would greet them with a smile, offering them drops of dew from the flowers she grew in her garden. In return, the flower spirits would share their magic with her, imbuing her potions with the essence of life and growth. The full moon of the Misty Forest. One of the most wondrous phenomena of the Misty Forest was its full moon, which occurred twice as often as in the outside world. This was not a natural occurrence, but a magical one, a gift from the forest's elemental spirits, who had woven their magic into the very fabric of the sky. On these nights, the moon hung low and large in the sky, its light casting the forest in a soft, silvery glow. The mist would become thicker, swirling in delicate patterns that seemed to dance with the wind. The full moon was a time of celebration for the Dryads. On these nights, they gathered in the moonlit glade, a hidden clearing where the trees parted to reveal the night sky. The glade was sacred, a place where the barrier between the physical world and the magical realm was at its thinnest. Under the light of the full moon, the Dryads would dance and sing, their voices mingling with the sounds of the forest. The animals of the forest, too, would join in the celebration. Deer with silver antlers would leap through the mist, while owls with eyes like glowing embers perched in the trees, watching with silent wisdom. The air was thick with magic, and even the tree spirits seemed to hum with energy, their presence more palpable under the moon's light. For Ileana, these nights were filled with wonder. She had never seen anything like it, how the forest seemed to come alive in a way that was both gentle and powerful. The Dryads would link hands, their movements fluid and graceful as they danced in circles, their laughter bright and free. The moonlight reflected off the water, making the streams and ponds shimmer like liquid silver. The magic of friendship and comfort. The Misty Forest, for all its mystery and magic, was a place of profound comfort. The Dryads, though powerful and deeply connected to the elements, spread an atmosphere of friendship and warmth wherever they went. It was a part of their magic, a subtle, almost imperceptible aura that surrounded them. This was the magic of the weaving, a gentle spell that the Dryads cast without even thinking, a magic that filled the air with a sense of peace and belonging. The weaving was a tradition that had been passed down through generations of Dryads. It was not written down in any book, nor taught through formal lessons. Instead, it was something that every Dryad learned simply by living in the forest. The magic came from their love for the land, for the creatures that lived there, and for each other. Wherever the Dryads went, they brought with them a sense of unity. They were never alone, whether they were tending to their gardens, gathering herbs, or simply walking through the forest, there was always a sense of community. Aliana had felt it the moment she had first entered the Misty Forest, the way the trees seemed to welcome her, the way the air felt soft and inviting, and the way the Dryads themselves greeted her with open arms. Lyra, too, was a part of this magic. Though she lived on the edge of the forest, in the quiet stillness of the swamp, she was always surrounded by the spirits and creatures she called friends. Her hut, though small, was a place where any Dryad could find refuge, where the fire was always warm and the tea always brewed. Even the animals of the swamp, the frogs, the herons, and the soft, slow-moving creatures that dwelled in the water, seemed to sense the comfort she radiated. This atmosphere of friendship and comfort was the true heart of the Misty Forest. It was a place where all were welcome, where the magic of the elements intertwined with the magic of companionship. The Dryads' laughter echoed through the trees, their songs carried on the wind, and their presence brought a warmth that could be felt in every corner of the forest. And so, as the full moon rose high in the sky, casting its light over the Misty Forest and the swamp beyond, Aliana smiled to herself. She had found her place among the Dryads, among the spirits of trees and flowers, and in the quiet magic of the forest. Here, under the ever-present mist and the shimmering moonlight, she had found not just a home, but a family bound by magic, by love for the land, and by the unspoken bond of friendship that spread through the forest like a gentle breeze. Within this enchanted realm, creatures of wonder made their home. Dryads, beings of the trees, lived among the towering oaks and ancient pines, their skin a soft green that shimmered with the energy of the woodlands. They sang songs that could lure travelers deeper into the heart of the forest, not with malice, but with a tender invitation to share in the warmth and beauty of their world. In the morning light, the forest would come alive with the flurry of magical birds, their feathers glowing faintly with hues of gold, silver, and sapphire. They flitted through the mist, singing melodies that seemed to blend with the air itself, their songs bright and pure. Creatures of the earth, such as gentle stags with silver antlers and bears whose coats shimmered like moonlight, roamed the forest in peace. But among the most mysterious and revered beings of the Misty Forest were the elementals themselves, spirits that took the shape of the elements they embodied. Earth elementals moved like living stone, their forms blending with the bark of trees and the rocks scattered across the forest floor. The air elementals danced through the fog, invisible but for the subtle currents of wind they left in their wake, their laughter soft and fleeting. Water elementals swam through the crystal-clear rivers and lakes, their forms like flowing water, always shifting and changing, their voices like the gentle ripple of a stream. Few ventured into the misty forest without a reason. Travelers would hear tales of its magic, its beauty, and the enchantments that could bless them if they were lucky. But it was also said that the misty forest was a maze, easy to get lost in. The mist was ever-changing, concealing paths, revealing others, and guiding, or misleading, those who entered. Yet the danger was not of cruelty or malice. It was the forest's way of testing the hearts of those who sought to walk its paths. One such traveler, a young woman named Ileana, had heard the songs of the Dryads since childhood. Born in a village on the outskirts of the misty forest, she had grown up listening to the stories of the forest's enchantment, of the blessings that could be found within, and of the songs that would call to the heart. For as long as she could remember, Ileana had been drawn to those songs. It wasn't just curiosity, but something deeper, an unspoken pull that she could never quite explain. One misty morning, as the fog rolled down from the forest, she made the decision to follow the call. She stepped into the trees, the air cool and fresh against her skin. The mist curled around her, soft and inviting, and the sounds of the village faded behind her. As Ileana walked deeper into the forest, she could hear it, the song. It was faint at first, like a whisper carried on the wind, but it grew louder as she moved forward. The Dryad's song was unlike anything she had ever heard. It wasn't just a melody, it was a feeling, a presence that wrapped around her like a warm embrace. It spoke of peace, of safety, and of magic older than time itself. Ileana felt her heart swell with emotion, and without realizing it, she was smiling. But the forest was vast, and as she moved deeper, the mist thickened. It swirled around her, obscuring the path, and soon, she found herself in a place she didn't recognize. The trees here were even larger, their trunks wider and their roots more twisted. The air was thick with magic, and Ileana could feel it humming in her bones. Yet, she wasn't afraid. The song was still there, still calling to her, and she trusted it. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the mist, a Dryad. Her skin was a deep, soft green, her hair the color of autumn leaves, and her eyes glowed with an inner light. She smiled at Ileana, a warm, welcoming smile that made her feel at ease. "Welcome, traveler," the Dryad said, her voice like the rustle of leaves in the wind. "You have answered our call." "I have," Ileana replied, her voice soft. "I've heard your song for as long as I can remember." The Dryad stepped closer, her bare feet barely making a sound on the forest floor. "You have a kind heart. The forest recognizes those who come with pure intentions. We have called you here not to harm, but to bless you with the magic of our world." Ileana's breath caught in her throat. "Bless me." The Dryad nodded, reaching out to take her hand. "The misty forest has chosen you. You are one of us now." At that moment, the mist seemed to part, revealing a hidden glade filled with light and color. The air was filled with the songs of magical birds, and the trees glowed softly with an ethereal light. Other Dryads appeared, along with earth elementals that seemed to rise from the ground itself, and water elementals that danced on the surface of a nearby stream. Ileana felt a surge of warmth and magic flow through her, and she knew, without a doubt, that she was home. From that day forward, Ileana lived within the misty forest, becoming one with its magic and its creatures. She learned the ways of the Dryads, the language of the birds, and the dance of the elementals. And though travelers still ventured into the forest, sometimes hearing the faint call of the Dryads, they would always speak of the woman who walked among the trees, her hair shimmering like the mist, her smile as warm as the sun filtering through the leaves. the Misty Forest remained a place of wonder and enchantment, its mysteries known only to those it chose to welcome. And though the mist might hide its secrets, the magic of the forest lived on in every breath of wind, every drop of water, and every leaf that fluttered in the breeze, a testament to the beauty and power of nature's magic.